Probably not going to be here.
Waiting on you, that's all.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Have the clerk please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Trustee Harper?
Present.
Trustee Germain?
Here.
Treasurer Horning?
Here.
Clerk Hopkins? Here. Supervisor Fountain?
Here.
Trustee Pelini, Trustee Petrucci are absent. We have quorum of the board, and we also have present Township Manager James Wickman.
Thank you. Item number 4 is approval of our meeting agenda.
So moved.
Got a motion by Trustee Harper, second by Trustee Germain. Any discussion?
Are we removing 8C to September 2nd?
Yes.
Okay.
We still have that motion?
Yes.
And support. Any other discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Call to the public this evening? Nobody at call to the public. We'll move to item number 6, which is approval of our consent agenda.
So moved.
Support. Motion by Treasurer Horning, second by Trustee Germain. Is there any discussion on our consent agenda?
Just one quick question. The appraiser that we're hiring on a part-time basis for item 6G, is there a certain timeline for that employment contract, or is a contract the wrong word?
Well, he would be, he's not a contractor, he'll be a staff member, and we anticipate the amount of assignment will be for that 10, 12, 14-week time period. But he'll be on the payroll, and the board has already set the limit on how much wages could be spent, so it could possibly go longer, it could go shorter. We haven't defined the time period.
Any other questions? Being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item number 7 is our presentation. John Pfeffer's here from our auditor for this past year's books. And with that, James, would you like to preface anything before John gets started? Thanks for being here this evening.
Okay, great.
And James, you're going to follow through with some of the questions. Okay.
Great.
Good evening.
All right. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the board for having us as your independent auditing firm. It's a real pleasure working with Hartland Township. And again, I would like to thank the staff of both the clerk treasurer's office for all their assistance and the clerk and treasurer, and also all the help that we get from the township manager, James Wickman. It's very important during the audit, to get questions answered, and he's very helpful and gives us good direction. And also Susan Dryden, who does the accounting, she does a great job. We have very few proposed adjustments, and with that said, the important part of that is during the year, that means the board's getting an accurate budget to actual reports, so that when you're trying to make decisions, you have accurate information. And again, I wanted to clarify, this is for the fiscal year ended March 31st, 2014, and that's the financial statement date. I would like to say, too, with that, we're pleased to report that we're issuing an unqualified opinion, which is the highest level of opinion that the independent auditor can issue. It states that your financial statements are presented fairly. And again, this is very important. Should a township need to go out for bonding? Also, as far as state share revenues, the state of Michigan looks at our audit reports, making sure they're filed timely and what your opinion statement is. And again, it's the highest level that the independent auditor can issue. I would like to make a couple comments just about the financial condition of Hartland Township. Again, the board was able to stay within budget and keep your costs down, and with doing that, be able to add about 12% to your fund balance, and at the same time, you made over $500,000 worth of improvements, capital improvements to the park, which is really good for the township. Obviously, that's money going right back in to help the residents, so that's always a good thing. Also, as part of our auditing procedures, we're looking at the investments of the township, and we found that, which is very important, that the treasurer was able to have almost 100% of the township's funds either fully insured or collateralized. And again, this is very important in the current markets. Again, we're in a point that it seems like we're in a kind of a steady area. The stock market's going up, everybody's seeing their IRAs go up and everything else. But the treasurer's kind of held the ground to be more conservative, which is good because you might get a little less return in some instances, but you're holding your values, and that's very important today. So I did want to mention that. And, many people don't really understand how much the township has invested, which is almost $13 million. So again, it's very important to protect, the assets of the township. With that, I'd just like to open up for any questions that the board might have at this time then.
Any questions? Are there any select areas within the budget that are concerns? Anything short or long term in your review that we should, keep an eye on?
No, I would say that again, which is important, that when you put together your budget on the expenditure side, you've been able to stay within that, which is very important. You had no areas that you exceeded the budget, and you've always been very careful about keeping your costs down. But no, there was no areas that we saw that we would be concerned about at all. And part of our audit report are graphs, and then there's a management letter. And again, a proof of what kind of job that you're doing is a management letter is very small. There's really nothing, any major concerns at all as far as the township.
How about, we had our challenges with the sewer district in some of the properties and such. Can you give us just an update as to where we stand? Because a couple of years ago, I know that was a concern of yours, where we stood with the RUs, and perhaps if you can give us an update from last year to this year.
Yeah. Well, what's happened, too, again, over the last 2 or 3 years, which has really helped, is the manager, James Wickman, has really developed a lot of different scenarios as far as with certain rates and different things and be able to meet your obligations. And, that's very important because really what happened there is it's your cash flow projection sort of to see if you can meet your future obligations. And with that said, and other things that the township has done, you're in good shape to meet those obligations at this time, this juncture. And if anything, it's just going to improve. Over the last few years, there's been a lot of improvement in those areas. So
James, we are ahead of what we had anticipated when we did the Boyle model.
Every year that we've updated the Boyle model, we've outpaced it.
Outpaced what their concerns were. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And again, with that note, it's not an area that we have any concern with as far as you meeting your future obligations. So.
Okay. Any board members have any questions? There are no questions. Thank you for your information this evening. Thank you.
Okay, and then if you could, at some point tonight, accept the audit report so we can submit it to the state of Michigan.
I will move to accept the 2013-2014 audit as presented.
Support. Motion by Clerk Hartland, second by Trustee Harper. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, Jen.
Okay, item number 8A is village sidewalk improvements. We've had this discussion at our last meeting, and we had some concerns and questions, and asked Bob to actually go out and get some additional information. I think it was a big topic was the tree removal, potential tree removal, and brush removal along the Kraus Road in front of the post office, and some of the sidewalk that was potentially going to have some drainage issues by the museum, all the way, almost that whole stretch to the music hall. So with that, Bob, if you'd like to give the board an update as to where we were from where we left off a couple weeks ago.
Sure, good evening. Just wanted to bring the revised village sidewalk improvement bid summary. Mattioli Cement, who was our lowest bid that we solicited, went back and basically revised the quote. I met with them last week and indicated to them that the board was looking to make a few changes from the original RFP. And what we've done is we included the large tree in front of the music hall to come out. That one is just, it's not going to work very well keeping the sidewalk in the intended path. That tree's going to have to come out. Any work they would do in order to put the new sidewalk in would eventually kill that tree. So we went back and were able to get a quote for the cost of adding that section as well as removing the tree, and revised the quote to the map that James had up just prior. It's everything that was in the RFP with the exception of the southwestern side of Avon Road. And as you remember, there's some drainage issues there that we're going to work with Livingston County Drain Commission on. So we basically eliminated that section for the time being. And
James, do you have the, I have a map that's red. I don't know if that's a different map.
That's from the last meeting.
Would that be the area that you're...
Yes, the section that was in red, what we did was basically revise that scope to just include the red section in front of the music hall. So that's the only portion of that red section that was revised and to be included in this, with the tree removal.
And how far does it go then to... I don't know the name of that road. It'll go all the way to that road, though, just to the south of
No.
here?
What we have up on the projector on the wall, that's the revised scope of what we're proposing. And I basically, again, met with Mattioli Cement, indicated to them the revised scope, asked them to revise their bid accordingly, and they resubmitted with a total for all these projects, including a 15% project contingency, which I'm requesting in the event that we need to take an additional tree out. I do anticipate some of the elevations may change, and we'll probably have to replace a couple panels of people's front walkways to make them match up. We really won't know because this isn't engineered until we get to that point, so that's why I'm requesting the 15% contingency on this project. But total project amount looking for approval this evening would be $44,845.
And since we already have $40,000 allocated in this year's budget, we're going to be amending the budget to add an additional $5,000?
Yes, that would be correct. Or 4,800.
I rounded it up.
Oh, yes, 5,000.
15.6%.
That's right.
Perfect. One more panel.
And I also understand that they believe this work can be completed before school starts?
Weather pending, they're projecting to just get out there and get to it and complete it, and they're looking 7 to 10 days if the weather cooperates. That is their goal. I have indicated to them that the Crossroads section should be the first one. If we're really going to aim to target one to be completed in time for the school year to start, that the Cross one would be the most important.
I know this isn't part of this, but have we spoken with the schools about potentially plowing that and keeping that maintained this winter? Have we spoken with them at all yet?
I think we planted the seed. I don't know that the full circle event has happened.
Yeah, we haven't actually reached a definitive answer yet, but yes, we are in talks with them.
At least the section that they could tie right into that.
Yeah, we're working with them again. We haven't received a definitive answer yet, but it's something that we look to do.
And then we were still anticipating in the near future an update to the sidewalk ordinance?
Yes.
Have to actually address that.
It's in legal review now, and that should be back shortly.
And I think, Matt, didn't you ask that question at our last meeting? Other questions? If there are no other questions, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to authorize the supervisor and clerk to execute a contract with Mattioli Cement for the village sidewalk improvements and to approve a $5,000 budget amendment for contingencies.
Support?
Motion by Trustee Harper, second by Clerk Hopkins. Any other discussion?
Will we have a second motion to amend the budget?
It's included in.
Did you read the whole?
Is it included in the motion?
Yep.
If there's no other comments, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 8B is blight and nuisance ordinance. Was amended. We worked on this, I believe, I'm thinking maybe April or May. There were some concerns when we did have a committee, which I believe was Matt Germain, Clerk Hopkins, and Glenn Harper. And I don't know if was there a committee chair or anybody that would like to speak on behalf of that? Glenn, would you like to talk about the changes that you made, or?
Well, before we get into it, because I had some issues with it, and Joe Kalani, he tabled it when I was absent, because he had discussion too. Do we still want to table it, or do we want to go on without Joe being, because he was kind enough to table it when I wasn't here, because he knew I had concerns.
If you make a motion, you need a second.
I'll make a motion to table it till September 2nd.
Support?
Have a motion to table and a support. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Glenn was a second.
Glenn seconded it, that's correct.
I just think it's fair.
8C was moved to our next meeting. New business, we have a cemetery maintenance contract. James, did you put this together?
Yeah, well, Bob, of course, did. It's quite straightforward. The only reason it's on the regular agenda, not consent agenda, because it is the dollar amount. If there are any questions...
It's a 3-year contract.
It's a 3-year renewal.
That we currently have.
2% increases is certainly reasonable by us, so pleased as the board, we'd offer the motion.
I'd just like to say that, here on cemetery maintenance, who this contract is with, has long been our maintenance company in the township. He does actually live in Hartland Township, and I think it's very beneficial for us to continue this relationship. He does have a lot of information on our cemeteries, so he's able to help the funeral homes when they contact him. If it's, for some reason, the funeral homes can't get in touch with the township, Mike at Huron Cemetery Maintenance has our information on who owns what lots, so that he can help facilitate burials if we're not available. So I think that's very beneficial. And I would move to authorize the supervisor and clerk to execute the 3-year contract with Huron Cemetery Maintenance.
Second.
Motion by Clerk Hopkins, second by Treasurer Horning. Is there any discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Move to board reports. We are in our second meeting in August. Trustee Harper, you go first.
No report.
Trustee Germain.
No report.
Clerk Hopkins.
I have no report.
Treasurer Horning.
Farmers market is in full bloom. The sweet corn is in. We had more vendors this week than I can remember in a long time. It was huge, and there's been a big rush on local growing, local buying, and the market's really having a fabulous year. It's only got 10 weeks left. 9 to 1.
Very good. I have nothing this evening. Manager Wickman, an update?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Nothing to necessarily highlight from the operational report. Happy to answer any questions the board may have.
We have our next meeting, we have a pretty full agenda. It sounds like we're getting...
Yeah, we should have, yeah. Well, we've got a couple things that we've forwarded over, so.
Okay. Is there any other comments this evening from the board?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support. Motion by Trustee Harper, second by Trustee Germain. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you.